I walked through my front door 2 days early from my Seattle business trip, excited to surprise Sophia with the good news about my promotion. The house was quiet, except for strange noises coming from our bedroom upstairs. My heartbeat quickened as I slowly climbed each step, hoping my mind was playing tricks on me. When I pushed open our bedroom door, time stopped. There was my father, Thomas, in my bed with my fiancée. Their naked bodies froze mid-motion as they spotted me. For a split second, nobody moved or breathed. Then something snapped inside me. The rage I felt was unlike anything I had experienced before. Before I tell you what happened next, let me know where you are watching from in the comments. If this story resonates with you, hit that like and subscribe button. Trust me, you will want to hear how I handled this ultimate betrayal from the two people I trusted most. I am Owen Miller, 32 years old, and until recently, I would have described myself as successful and happy. I had built a solid career as a software developer at a respected tech firm in Portland. My work was challenging, but rewarding, and I had just been selected to lead an important new project in Seattle. My father Thomas and I had always been close. Growing up, he was my hero, the man who taught me to fish on summer weekends, who helped me choose my college major, and who celebrated every milestone in my life. Even as an adult, I valued his advice on everything from investments to relationships. We spoke several times a week, and he was the first person I called when I had news to share. I met Sophia Davis 2 years ago, at a technology conference in San Francisco. She was demonstrating a revolutionary UX design platform that complemented my development work perfectly. Beyond her professional brilliance, I was struck by her warm laugh and the way her eyes lit up when discussing her passions. We exchanged business cards which quickly led to coffee meetings, then dinners, and within 3 months, we were inseparable. 6 months ago, I proposed during a sunset hike at Mount Hood. I had never been more certain of anything in my life. Sophia cried as she said yes, and we immediately started planning our dream wedding for October. Everything seemed perfect. My mother Jessica had some reservations about Sophia from the beginning. Nothing specific, just a mother's intuition that something was off. "She seems lovely, Owen, but make sure you really know her before you commit," she would say. I dismissed her concerns as typical mother-in-law wariness. Ironically, my father was Sophia's biggest champion. "She is intelligent, beautiful, and clearly adores you," he would tell me. "Your mother will come around." He went out of his way to make Sophia feel welcome at family gatherings, often engaging her in long conversations about her interests and background. The business trip to Seattle was supposed to last 2 weeks, but our team worked efficiently and finished the project early. Rather than texting Sophia about my early return, I decided to surprise her with the good news of my promotion in person. I picked up flowers and her favorite wine on the drive home, imagining her delighted reaction. Our house was unusually quiet when I entered. Sophia's car was in the driveway, so I knew she was home. I called her name softly but heard no response. Then, I detected unfamiliar sounds from upstairs, rhythmic, creaking, and muffled voices. A cold knot formed in my stomach as I set down the gifts and slowly ascended the stairs. The bedroom door was slightly ajar. Through the crack, I caught a glimpse of movement on our bed. Our wedding planning scrapbook knocked to the floor Sophia's distinctive turquoise necklace on the nightstand. Then I pushed the door fully open, and my entire world collapsed. My father was on top of my fiancée in our bed. Our bed. The bed I had saved for months to buy when we moved in together. The sheets we had picked out together at Macy's during their holiday sale. His back was to me, but I recognized him instantly. The distinctive birthmark on his right shoulder. The watch I had given him for his 50th birthday still on his wrist. Sophia's eyes met mine over his shoulder, widening in shock. Not shame, shock at being caught. For several heartbeats, I stood frozen in the doorway, my brain refusing to process what my eyes were seeing. Then my father sensed something and turned his head. When he saw me, his face drained of color. "Owen," he gasped, scrambling to separate himself from Sophia. "This isn't." I can explain. The rage hit me like a physical force. Without conscious thought, I lunged forward and yanked him off her, throwing him to the floor beside the bed. Sophia pulled the sheet up to cover herself, finally showing some semblance of embarrassment. How long, I demanded, my voice sounding strange even to my own ears. How fucking long has this been going on? Neither answered. My father scrambled to his feet, reaching for his discarded boxers. The pathetic sight of him, my role model, my trusted advisor, standing naked and guilty in my bedroom, triggered something primal in me. I shoved him hard against the wall. "Answer me, Owen, please," he stammered. "It just happened." "We never meant to," I cut him off with a punch to his jaw that sent him staggering. Rational thought had abandoned me. All I could see was red. The betrayal of the two people I trusted most in this world conspiring behind my back, defiling my home. My father did not fight back. He raised his hands defensively as I landed another blow to his midsection. "Son, please, you are going to regret this," he wheezed. Sophia was screaming now, scrambling off the bed. "Owen! Stop! You will hurt him." "Hurt him?" I laughed bitterly, landing another punch. "What about how you both hurt me? In my own home, in my own bed." My father stumbled, blood trickling from his lip. Despite my rage, I saw fear in his eyes. Real fear that I might not stop. Some small, still rational part of my brain registered that I was crossing a dangerous line. I had never been violent before, and here I was beating my own father. I stepped back, breathing heavily. "Get out," I said, my voice dangerously quiet. "Both of you. Get your things and get out of my house in the next 5 minutes, or I swear I will not be responsible for what happens next." They moved quickly, gathering scattered clothing, neither daring to speak. I stood with my back against the wall, fists clenched so tightly my nails cut into my palms. As they dressed hurriedly, I grabbed a duffel bag and threw some essentials inside. Wallet, phone charger, a change of clothes. I could not stay in this house tonight. "Owen," my father tried one last time, as he buttoned his shirt with shaking hands. "Let me explain. This was a mistake. 5 minutes," I repeated, my voice hollow. "And then I am calling the police." I drove aimlessly through the city streets, my knuckles white on the steering wheel, vision blurring periodically with unshed tears. The afternoon traffic moved around me in a haze, as my mind replayed those moments in the bedroom on endless loop. After 20 minutes of directionless driving, I pulled into an empty church parking lot and called Marcus, my best friend since college. He picked up on the second ring. "Hey man, are not you supposed to be in Seattle?" His casual greeting nearly broke me. "Marcus," my voice cracked. "Something happened. Something bad." To his credit, Marcus did not ask questions. "Where are you? I am coming right now." I declined his offer to meet immediately. What I needed most was family, specifically my mother. Despite their occasionally strained relationship, Jessica had always been my rock. She would know what to say, how to help me make sense of this betrayal. The 20-minute drive to my childhood home in the suburbs gave me time to collect myself. I rehearsed how to tell her what had happened without breaking down completely. My mother had never been particularly fond of Sophia, but she would be devastated about my father's betrayal. Jessica answered the door in gardening clothes, soil still on her gloves. Her smile faded instantly when she saw my face. "Owen, what happened? Are you hurt?" She ushered me inside, maternal concern radiating from her. We sat at the kitchen table where I had eaten countless meals growing up. Family photos lined the walls. Vacations, graduations, holidays. My father's smiling face appeared in most of them, now seeming like the grin of a stranger. "Mom," I began, my voice steadier than I expected. "I came home early from Seattle today and found Dad and Sophia together, in my bed." I watched her face, waiting for the shock, the disbelief, the outrage on my behalf. Instead, her expression morphed from concern into something harder, more defensive. "What exactly are you saying, Owen?" she asked carefully. "I am saying I caught Dad having sex with my fiancé," I stated bluntly. "There is no ambiguity here, Mom. I saw them with my own eyes." She set her mug down slowly. "Your father called me about an hour ago. He told me you attacked him during an argument about wedding expenses. He said you were acting irrationally, that you might come here with wild accusations. The second betrayal hit me like another physical blow. And you believed him. Just like that, Owen. Your father has been married to me for 35 years. He would never do something like this. Her tone was firm, lecturing. You have been working too hard under too much stress with this promotion and the wedding planning. I stared at her dumbfounded. Are you seriously suggesting I imagined this? That I beat up Dad for no reason? I think you might be having some kind of breakdown, she said, reaching for my hand across the table. I pulled away. It happens especially to men in high-pressure jobs like yours. We can get you help. Mom, listen to yourself. Why would I make this up? Why would I hurt Dad if it did not happen? Her eyes hardened. You have always been jealous of your father's success. Even as a boy, you competed for attention, for recognition. Maybe this promotion has brought up some unresolved feelings. Each word felt like a slap. The mother who had bandaged my scraped knees and celebrated my achievements was now gaslighting me, choosing to believe an obvious lie over her own son's pain. Did Dad tell you he was at my house in the middle of a workday? Did he explain why? Did you even ask? My voice rose despite my efforts to stay calm. Do not take that tone with me, she snapped. Your father works from home 3 days a week now. He mentioned stopping by your place to drop off those vintage cufflinks for the wedding. I laughed bitterly. Well, he dropped something all right. His pants. That is enough. She stood up, color rising in her cheeks. I will not sit here and listen to these disgusting accusations. Your father has been nothing but supportive of you your entire life. He paid for your college, helped with the down payment on your house, welcomed Sophia into our family, and this is how you repay him. Something broke inside me then. My own mother choosing to believe the worst of me, rather than accept the truth about her husband. I stood up too, grabbing my car keys from the table. You know what, Mom? When Dad finally admits what happened, or when Sophia confirms it, do not bother calling me with apologies. We are done. As I walked toward the door, she called after me. Maybe Sophia was right to look elsewhere. If this is how you behave under pressure? I stopped in my tracks, her cruel words, landing like physical blows. Without turning around, I walked out and slammed the door behind me. The drive to the nearest hotel was a blur. I checked into a Hampton Inn with just my hastily packed duffel bag, a man with no home to return to. Within an hour, Marcus arrived with takeout food I could not eat and support I desperately needed. I knew something was off about her, Marcus admitted as we sat in the generic hotel room. The way she would text constantly when you were not looking. How defensive she got when you mentioned surprise visits to her office. Why did not you say something? I asked, too exhausted to be angry at another person. Would you have believed me? Man, you were so in love. And honestly, I never imagined it would be with your dad. That is next-level betrayal. We discussed my options. Marcus offered his spare room until I figured things out. More importantly, he believed me without question. After my mother's reaction, that simple act of faith meant everything. You should cut them all off, he advised. At least for now. Change your number. Block them on social media. Give yourself time to process without their manipulations. That night alone, in the sterile hotel room, I made the decision to do exactly that. My family, as I had known it, was dead to me. The next week passed in a numbing haze of practical arrangements and emotional withdrawal. I extended my hotel stay, using it as a base while I sorted out logistics. My phone became a minefield of unwanted contact attempts. On day 3, a call came from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Sophia's voice, tearful and hesitant, came through the line. Owen, please don't hang up. I need to explain what happened. There is nothing to explain. I replied, my voice flat. I saw everything I needed to see. It wasn't what you think, she insisted. Your father. He was persistent. He would stop by when you were away, call constantly about wedding plans. I was uncomfortable, but didn't want to cause problems between you two. Save it. I cut her off. If you were being harassed, you could have told me. Instead, you were fucking my father in our bed, while I was working to build our future. There's no explanation that changes those facts. I hung up and immediately blocked the number. My father was more relentless. Multiple text messages arrived daily. Son, please call me. This was a terrible mistake. I know I've destroyed your trust, but we need to talk as men. Your mother is devastated. We can work through this as a family. Each message increased my resolve to excise them completely from my life. I blocked his number too, along with every social media connection to both him and Sophia. I contacted a lawyer to handle the legal aspects of canceling the wedding. Jason Harrington, a college acquaintance who specialized in family law, offered to help at a reduced rate after hearing a sanitized version of my situation. Consider yourself lucky, he said, as we reviewed vendor contracts in his downtown office. Better to find out before the wedding than after. I arranged for a locksmith to change the locks on my house and hired a service to pack Sophia's belongings and deliver them to a storage unit with the key sent to her parents' address. The clinical dismantling of our life together provided a strange comfort, concrete actions to counterbalance the emotional chaos. My boss was surprisingly understanding when I requested 2 weeks of personal leave. Family emergency was all the explanation I offered, and thankfully all he required. With work temporarily off my plate, I found myself with nothing but time to dwell on the betrayal. After Marcus's persistent encouragement, I reluctantly scheduled an appointment with Dr. Eleanor Winters, a therapist specializing in trauma and betrayal. Our first session was halting and uncomfortable, but gradually I found words for the maelstrom of emotions swirling inside me. What you're experiencing is a compound betrayal, Dr. Winters explained. The primary betrayal from your fiancé and father is devastating enough, but your mother's refusal to believe you constitutes a secondary betrayal that can be equally damaging. Through Marcus, I learned that Sophia had temporarily moved in with my father. The audacity of their arrangement stunned me into a fresh wave of rage. Not only had they betrayed me, but they were flaunting their relationship publicly, as if my pain meant nothing. The news traveled through our social circles like wildfire. Former friends chose sides. Some, like my cousins Brad and Jennifer, publicly supported my father's version of events, indation, that I had irrationally attacked him and invented the affair out of jealousy over his financial success. Others maintained a cowardly neutrality, unwilling to alienate either party. A core group remained steadfast. Marcus, my college roommate Daniel, and surprisingly my mother's sister Aunt Rachel, who called to say she never trusted my father and absolutely believed my account. Your mother is in denial, Rachel told me during a long phone call. She has invested 35 years in that marriage. Accepting the truth means acknowledging her life is built on lies. 3 months passed with no contact from my mother. I maintained the wall I had built around myself, focusing on healing and rebuilding. I returned to work, threw myself into projects, and gradually began to socialize again in carefully selected settings with trusted friends. Then came the social media post that shattered my fragile equilibrium. A mutual friend forwarded me a photo. Sophia had shared her smiling face, one hand resting on what appeared to be a small but distinct baby bump. The caption contained no details, just a heart emoji and a due date 5 months away. My hand shook so badly, I dropped the phone. The timing aligned perfectly with their betrayal. Not only had they been having an affair behind my back, but they had been careless enough to conceive a child. Marcus confirmed the news through his girlfriend, who still followed Sophia. She is telling people it is your dad's baby. They are apparently working on building a life together now. The revelation sent me spiraling into my darkest period yet. I increased my therapy sessions to twice weekly and seriously considered moving away from Portland altogether. The thought of potentially encountering them, or worse their child, in my hometown, became unbearable. Through social media monitoring by concerned friends, I learned that my mother initially stood by my father, posting defensive messages about supporting family through difficult transitions and vaguely referencing misunderstandings. Her social media presence gradually grew quieter as weeks passed. 4 months after our confrontation, I received the first tentative contact from my mother, and, A text message that simply read, "Owen, I miss you. Please call when you're ready." I did not respond. 2 weeks later, another message, "Your father has moved out. I would like to talk." Again, I maintained my silence. Then the voicemail that finally cracked my resolve. My mother sobbing uncontrollably, barely coherent. "Owen," he admitted everything. "Sophia is pregnant with his child. I am so sorry I did not believe you. Please, please, call me. I cannot bear this alone." I listened to that message 17 times, emotion evolving from vindication to pity to cautious openness. After consulting with Dr. Winters, I decided to send a brief email. "Mom, I need time. What you said to me cannot be unsaid. I am glad you know the truth now, but that does not automatically fix what broke between us." Her reply was immediate and did not attempt to defend her actions, "I understand. I will wait as long as it takes. I love you." That exchange marked the beginning of my decision to leave Portland for good. I accepted a remote position with my company and began researching cities where I could start fresh. Denver, with its tech industry, outdoor lifestyle, and zero family associations, emerged as the frontrunner. As I packed up my house to sell, I experienced my first panic attack while sorting through bedroom items. The mattress and bedding had been replaced immediately after the incident, but handling the decorative items Sophia and I had chosen together triggered a physical reaction so intense, I ended up in the emergency room, convinced I was having a heart attack. Classic panic attack symptoms, the emergency doctor explained after ruling out cardiac issues. Your body is processing trauma. It is actually a sign of healing. Your system is no longer numbing itself to protect you. The diagnosis, while reassuring medically, served as another reminder of how deeply the betrayal had wounded me. As I signed the final papers to list my house for sale, I felt equal measures of sadness and liberation. Portland had been my home for my entire adult life, but now it was haunted by betrayal at every corner. 6 months after moving to Denver, I barely recognized my former life. My downtown apartment offered panoramic mountain views, completely unlike the Portland cityscape I had known. My new role as senior developer for our company's expanding Colorado operations provided fresh challenges and connections. I had established routines that grounded me: morning runs along the river trail, weekend hikes in the nearby foothills, Thursday night trivia at the local brewery with colleagues who knew nothing of my past drama. The distance, both physical and emotional, had provided perspective I could never have achieved in Portland. My therapy continued via video sessions with Dr. Winters. "You have made remarkable progress," she noted during our monthly check-in. "How do you feel about your mother's continued attempts to reconnect?" The communication with my mother had evolved to weekly phone calls, carefully limited in duration and depth. Jessica had respected my boundaries, never pushing for more than I could give. She had started her own therapy, processing not only my father's betrayal, but her own role in our estrangement. "I should have believed you," she repeated during each conversation. "No mother should ever choose anyone over her child's truth. I will regret that for the rest of my life." Her regret reached crisis level the day Thomas and Sophia publicly announced their baby's arrival, a daughter they had named Grace. Jessica called me, sobbing uncontrollably. "I cannot bear this," she wept. 35 years of marriage, and now he has a child with a woman young enough to be his daughter. A woman who was supposed to be my daughter-in-law. Everyone is talking about it. I cannot go to the grocery store without pitying looks. For the first time since the betrayal, I felt genuine compassion for my mother. She was collateral damage in their selfish choices, just as I had been. "Mom," I said gently, "maybe it is time for you to consider a fresh start too. Portland holds too many memories now." That conversation marked a turning point in our healing process. 2 weeks later, I flew back to Portland for the first time, meeting my mother at a neutral restaurant rather than at the family home I had grown up in. Seeing her in person was jarring. She had aged visibly, new lines around her eyes, gray, streaking her formerly colored hair. When she hugged me, her body felt smaller, more fragile. The confident, sometimes judgmental woman who had raised me seemed diminished by grief and regret. Over dinner, we navigated difficult but necessary conversations. I expressed not only my pain at her disbelief, but the lifetime of subtle ways she had prioritized my father's word over mine. "I enable him," she acknowledged, staring into her barely touched wine. "I always have. It was easier to believe he was perfect than to face our problems. And you paid the price for that." "We both did," I replied. That visit established the template for our new relationship, honest but guarded, loving but no longer unconditional. Jessica began exploring options for relocating closer to her sister in Arizona, away from the whispers and stares of a community that had watched her family implode spectacularly. Meanwhile, Denver continued to offer healing connections. At the downtown climbing gym where I worked off stress 3 times weekly, I repeatedly noticed a woman with auburn hair who tackled difficult routes with quiet determination. After several weeks of nodding acquaintances, she approached me about belay techniques. "Your form is really good," Amanda said, introducing herself. "Would you mind giving me some pointers? I am trying to improve my efficiency on overhangs." That simple interaction led to post-climbing coffee, which evolved into hiking meetups, which gradually developed into genuine friendship. Amanda Reyes was a physical therapist who had moved to Denver 2 years earlier following her own relationship catastrophe. A fiancé who had concealed a gambling addiction until he had emptied their joint savings account. Trust issues. She laughed when I hesitated to share details of my past during our 3rd hiking excursion. "Join the club. We should get jackets made." Her straightforward humor and lack of pressure created space for me to open up gradually. When I finally shared the full story of my father and Sophia, her reaction was refreshingly direct. "That is next-level betrayal," she said, as we rested atop a scenic overlook. "No wonder you moved across states to get away from that toxic mess." Her simple validation, free from the complicated history shared by longtime friends and family, felt like cool water on a burn. With Amanda, I could be the person I was becoming, not the victim of a scandalous betrayal. Our friendship deepened over shared meals, outdoor adventures, and eventually more personal revelations. When she casually mentioned a new restaurant she wanted to try, I surprised myself by asking, "Would you consider that a date if I took you there Friday night?" Her smile was worth the risk of rejection. "I would definitely consider that a date. And about time, too." That first official date included a brutally honest conversation about our respective baggage. "I need to be crystal clear," I told her over dinner. "I am still working through trust issues. I might need to take things slowly." Amanda reached across the table to squeeze my hand. "Slow is fine. Honest is mandatory. I have been burned too, remember? We can figure this out together, one step at a time." 1 year after the discovery that had shattered my world, I spent the anniversary day hiking alone in the mountains, reflecting on the lessons learned through devastation. The rage that had once consumed me had gradually transformed into something quieter, not forgiveness exactly, but a release from the power the betrayal held over me. My relationship with my mother continued its careful reconstruction. Jessica eventually sold the family home and moved to Sedona, establishing a new life among red rocks and art galleries. Our conversations grew more natural, though certain subjects remained carefully navigated. My father's attempts at reconciliation, letters, emails, even a package containing my childhood memorabilia, went largely unanswered. I had nothing to say to the man who had betrayed every principle he had supposedly instilled in me. Occasionally, information filtered through my mother, Thomas, and Sophia's relationship was predictably strained by the reality of parenthood and the public judgment they faced. Their social media presence portrayed happiness that mutual acquaintances reported was largely performative. None of it mattered to me anymore. In a strange way, I had become grateful for the catastrophic betrayal that had freed me from relationships built on falsehood. Without that painful awakening, I might have married a woman who did not truly love me, remaining tethered to family dynamics that undermined my self-worth. The most valuable lesson came unexpectedly during a camping weekend with Amanda 6 months into our relationship. As we sat beside a mountainside campfire, she asked thoughtfully, "Do you ever worry that what happened makes it impossible for you to fully trust again?" The question deserved honest examination. "I used to think so," I replied, watching sparks rise toward the star-filled sky. "But I have realized something important. What my father and Sophia did reveals who they are, not who everyone is. Their betrayal does not define my capacity for trust. It just taught me to place that trust more wisely. Amanda leaned her head against my shoulder, her presence both comforting and exhilarating. "That is the difference between being wounded and being wise," she said softly. In that moment, surrounded by the vast Colorado wilderness, with a woman who had earned my gradually rebuilding trust, I finally felt the last pieces of my old life release their grip. The betrayal would always be part of my story, but it no longer controlled my future. Have you ever experienced betrayal that completely altered your life path? Did it eventually lead you somewhere better, even through the pain? Share your story in the comments below. If this journey of overcoming betrayal resonated with you, please hit like and subscribe for more real-life experiences. Remember that sometimes our deepest wounds become pathways to unexpected healing. Thank you for listening, and may you find strength if you are facing your own battles with betrayal